is going to face his fellow Dutchman, Jordan van Forest, tomorrow. So a good night's sleep for Anish, and he should be ready to fight again tomorrow. One match is still going on. It's Shakhriyar Mamedyarov against Erik Hansen. This is game 4. They are tied. If we have a winner in this game, then that player will win the match. If it is a draw, then tie breaks. And what does it look like right now, David?
It's still very early days. We are just towards the end of the Petrov defense, which is one of the most solid openings out there in chess. Mamedyarov just trying to maybe lock this game down as black. That being said, Erik didn't go for any drawish lines. He's instead gone for a position that we see in front of us, where every piece is still on the board, a couple of open files in the middle, but roughly balanced right now. Any preference you guys have? I mean, you think is better right now?
I mean, I was just thinking from Erik's situation. He's lost his first 2 matches, and you only get any money from this if you win or if you draw out the 4 games. So if I was in his position, that'd be on the back of my brain, because I'd be like, right, okay, if I draw this game as white, I'm guaranteed some cash. Yeah. Take it into the playoffs. He's got the white pieces, and I think it is equal. I just hope he doesn't play it's not like Erik to play negatively, but he's just got to play normal moves. But I mean, even having those little thoughts in these last games can affect your play quite a lot, I feel.
Yeah, and I mean, it will be tough for Erik to go against his natural instincts and just play for the draw, but I completely understand there, Simon. I'd probably do the same, just safety first. Yeah. Don't take too much risk in this game, and tie breaks aren't the worst thing in the world. I think actually it'll be quite close in the blitz tie breaks, because Erik is really good at that time format. So yeah, we'll see how this game progresses.
I was going to say, Erik is well known for his speed prowess, whilst Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, you know, he himself told me that up until recently he wasn't playing online chess, and now he's playing catch-up. So, I mean, but both these players, I mean, they're incredible tacticians. So, yeah, it would be an exciting,
I'm definitely hoping for tie breaks. That would be super fun.
Yeah, I remember when COVID first came and it was locked down everywhere, and I played quite a lot online myself, and I faced Shak quite a few times, Mamedyarov, and I could tell he was a bit rusty. He was a bit slower than most of the top grandmasters. The moves were still, of course, really good, but the speed wasn't there in the blitz. But now, of course, he's probably has caught up, and that would be so dramatic. I mean, we never hope for draws, right? But this would be a fun tiebreak to watch between these two. And meanwhile, it looks like Erik's about to retreat his bishop.
Yeah, I mean, very sensible play at the moment. It's a symmetrical kind of position. Both pieces are quite logical. I mean, I want to play rook takes bishop here, of course, but I probably shouldn't. So, you know, I have that a lot in life.
Why should you not take the bishop?
Well, I mean, basically rooks are better than bishops, but you know, but I want to try to get it on the light squares, because in these kind of openings, especially when you play e4, white's light square bishop is such a tremendous piece. And by taking the bishop, I would open up the light squares, but it's not ready, I feel, for that quite yet. I'd also like to say, just Prag, I mean, I was just working out that he's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, he's playing Magnus tomorrow, start of the week on a Monday. That is going to be such a great match, because Magnus is going to try to show him who's boss. Prag's going to be like, right, OK, I'm playing so well, I can't wait. And he's won $22,500 dollars already, yeah. So which is pretty impressive, right? So it's yeah, not bad for 3 days' work. So yeah, I mean,
just got to set that alarm for tomorrow at 6 o'clock CET, when those two faces off in a big clash. What do you think is going to be for Magnus? Will he sort of feel the pressure in that one?
For sure, especially if Magnus isn't feeling 100%, if he's still not feeling fully healthy. Remember, Prag beat him 2 months ago in the tour, so he's definitely. I think Magnus would love to escape that matchup with maybe tie breaks, and yeah, I was going to say escape that matchup with a draw, but we do find a winner at the end of every day. I think at this point, anyone taking Prag to tie breaks is going to be a miracle. He just looks so good. So yeah, just to catch up with this game, no rook takes bishop, which is a really nice kind of long-term strategic sacrifice to win all the light squares, but comes at the cost of a rook, of course, for a bishop. Instead, Erik takes the sensible way out and develops this piece. So both these 2 white bishops looking good. And next, he'll try and move his queen out the way, maybe connect the 2 white rooks. Yeah, just looking very balanced. I'm pretty sure at some point in the next few moves, Shak is going to push this pawn forward. One thing you can't really allow is the white knight to leap into your position and then continue its journey into the black camp. This square is actually a bit of a target now with the white knight and with the white bishop. So just push this pawn, maybe try and expand on this side. And yeah, a lot to play for, but still equal at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree. The position is going to hinge on who manoeuvres their pieces in the best possible way, because as you can see, there are pawns in the centre, so all the energy transfers to the pieces. And whilst Shakhriyar is pondering what to do, well, we have some selfies that I want to share, and the first one comes from Neil Young, who says, not quite the musician, but it says, me and Ricky are tuning in again. So a big hello to you, Neil and Ricky. And Ashish Vegaraju says that they were enjoying the game between Magnus Carlsen and Anish from the Netherlands. And we can see a move from Mamedyarov, retreating the bishop, actually allowing the knight to just spring into the black side of the board.
Yeah. I think it's okay for now. That can just be kind of refuted by black's knight coming to the centre of the board, hitting white's dark square bishop, and the game would go on. So no real big threats here, but yeah, slightly surprising move from Mamedyarov.
I think we need more pet selfies.
I think so too.
This is like one thing we're lacking here. We're getting lots of selfies, but I want to see some pets in front.
I do like the pet selfies. I also really like it when the viewers multitask, and they try and combine watching our show with maybe watching the Alan Partridge show, or as JMR18 says, chess and NBA playoffs makes a great Sunday evening.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Also, can we have some extreme watching photos? What's the most extreme place that someone can take a selfie watching the show, even if it's on their phone, like on a roller coaster? David! Or maybe in the middle of a football match, climbing a mountain, abseiling maybe?
Sailing, you know, we've had a few from sailing. We've had a few on an oil rig.
That's pretty cool.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see some of them, I think. You know, there should be a prize for that, the most extreme watching of
Who will go to the moon to watch chess is the question.
Elon, we need you to.
He's a chess fan, right?
Yeah, he is a
Tweeted
chess
about
fan,
chess.
yeah.
I think he said it was a simple game in his last tweet about it, though. He said, it's an easy game or something.
Well.
So he doesn't really know anything about it, clearly. Like,
My dream is seeing Elon Musk take on Magnus age 10.
Oh,
Yes.
If you're watching, Elon, a challenge for you. Come on and play Magnus 10.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
And meanwhile, the knight has moved to the centre of the board and is now attacking white's dark squared bishop. And whilst we're waiting for Eric to respond to this, I also have a question from Duncan Bailey, who asks, do all of the players in the Oslo Esports Cup have seconds with them, or are some attempting this without support?
Yeah,
Well, Eric, actually, I haven't. He's alone in Oslo.
it's very surprising, that, isn't it? Because he's got all his crew as well.
But they probably are working for him, right?
Well, there's a few people who are alone. So Liam Le, I haven't seen him with a second. Magnus doesn't have anyone physically here with him.
Yeah.
The rest of the players, we see Jordan, he's working with Johan Sebastian Christiansen.
Yep.
On site, Anish Giri, of course, we saw Erwin Lamy. And
Pragnananda
has Ramesh.
Yeah.
Duda has Robert Kempinski, strong Polish grandmaster.
Yeah. So half and half, actually.
Yeah, but I'm sure everyone is working behind the scenes
Yeah.
with someone. This is the beauty of chess these days. You know, you don't need someone physically present. You can also have a helper working remotely.
Yeah. And do you need, at the top level of chess now, do you need a second or a team of seconds in big tournaments?
I'm not sure you need it, but it definitely helps. It's a bit of a bonus. I mean, it's not just for the chess, right? It's for the psychological stuff, especially now they play so many games in one day. You need to recover quickly. You don't want to finish one game, go into your room, turn on the computer, and then kind of start from scratch every time. You want to come in and have someone, you know, put their arm around you or say, okay, this is your next opening. You'll love this position. You can do it. Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of maybe kind of a give or take. You can have a second or not, but I think it gives you the extra edge.
Because it must be very, for example, Anish is disappointed today. It didn't really go his way today. It would have been very lonely to bring all your negative thoughts back to your hotel and just be by yourself, right? It must be nice to have someone to just talk it out, get rid of the bad emotions.
It's one of the worst feelings, like losing a game of chess, and I think this is very hard to describe to people who don't play chess. I mean, if you've had relationships with non-chess players, it's horrible for them to when you lose a game and you have to go and see them because you're in such a bad mood, and it's very hard to understand that.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we've all had that at some point, but the feeling of losing is incredible. And they also say, like, that feeling, it's not the same as winning. The feeling of winning's great, but they don't really level out. That it's horrible. I mean, David, I don't want to bring you up, but I'm going to because you've been so close to qualifying for the candidates on a couple of occasions, and it must have been heartbreaking for you.
There've been many times in my life where I just felt extremely lonely, having lost a game in a foreign country, not home for a long time, and it's devastating. And earlier we mentioned this podcast we did with Anish Giri. Actually, we talked to Eric Hansen as well, and Eric talked a lot about mental health, and it's not talked about as much among the top chess players, but it's so important.
Yeah.
That's why you bring seconds with you. That's why you have a support network. That's why Magnus, for example, is so good. He has his family. He has a set of coaches around him. That's maybe why Prag's doing so well now with Ramesh. But Eric, he mentioned the reason he streams more than plays chess, kind of classical competitive chess these days, is because he finds it lonely. He finds it difficult, stressful, having to win just to earn money and living out of a suitcase. It's a difficult lifestyle at the top level.
So at those occasions where you were very close to qualifying for the candidates, this fall was actually one of those occasions. Were you alone at that time, or did you have a second with you?
Yeah, I've never really brought a second with me. I think only maybe twice to any tournaments. But yeah, I've pretty much worked alone most of the time since I was 12 years old, just kind of self-taught. And my parents came with me, of course, when I was young, but yeah, it was tough. I mean, the second time I nearly qualified for the candidates, I was more kind of objective about it. I thought, okay, I wasn't ready. And Firouzja, Caruana, the only two players I lost to, I mean, it's because they're stronger than me. But the first time I didn't qualify, I was on my own and I locked myself in my room. I don't want to tell you what I was thinking there, but it was, difficult.
Do we simply not talk about it enough? I mean, it's become a big theme in other sports. We've seen it in tennis, in gymnastics, in the Olympics. More athletes talking about mental health. Are we not talking about it enough in chess, where it maybe is even a bigger issue? Because it is a mind sport.
I think it's definitely a conversation that doesn't come up enough, and it's a conversation to have. I mean, FIDE could talk about it, maybe put on some support for players. I know lots of former players, when they kind of stop and retire, or when their careers maybe don't go as far as they can, it's difficult for them. FIDE recently, they've been supporting, I think, chess players who are struggling financially, who things like that. But the mental side, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely an important subject that I personally think that federations should be dealing with, especially when they're sending their elite players to events, and they know full well that often these elite players are dependent on that money, and they're dependent on winning, and everything is hanging on the edge. So I agree with David. It should be a conversation that we have. Measures should be taken. It should be budgeted for. And also, chess players as well should also be not too proud and say, there is a problem. And we should admit to that. And like David says, often we're alone in the rooms and it can get a bit dark. But I mean, hopefully things are changing. I mean, it really helps to have top players like Eric Hansen openly discussing this. And I mean, the same goes with women in chess as well. Top women are beginning to discuss some of the issues, and a lot of us are kind of saying, occasionally we are struggling with this. Help us, and it's great to have that conversation.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I think mental health in general is something that's been not chatted about in life as much as it should be. The old way of looking at it was it's a weakness, which is clearly not the issue now. And chess is a mental game, so it needs to be. It's all in the mind. And I think even your performance, if you're mentally okay, you'll play a lot better. And I've seen lots of chess players suffer from having been very affected from losses and just the lifestyle, which is exciting, but it's also if you're playing to win your rent and it doesn't go right, and I've seen players sleeping in the public toilets at chess tournaments, at big chess tournaments because they can't afford it. Not a very healthy lifestyle, but there's the other side. There is a glamorous side to it as well. But I think, 100%, it needs to be talked about more in general as well as in chess. Yeah.
And there are even stories of former world champions who kind of they turned to drink, they turned to other vices just because they couldn't cope with the pressures. And yeah, it's something to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, like Bobby Fischer is one of them.
Absolutely.
You know, he went a little bit, totally mad at the end, and
it feels like it's almost been joked about that the best chess players, it's going to affect their sanity because they're so in their head. But it's actually a very serious subject to not joke about.
No, definitely
also
not.
With Bobby Fischer.
I mean, especially when you kind of think about the nature of competition, you know, there is that shadow side, which, you know, it divides people into winners and losers. I mean, you have to address the mental side.
Absolutely. Such an important subject. And the podcast, the late night show with Eric Hansen, talking about this together with David and Askell, will be released later this upcoming week. So that's going to be interesting to listen to, and we're going to talk some more about it when that is released. Eric looking very focused right now. This is game 4 between himself and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov. They are tied in their match. We could be heading to tie breaks. What do you think right now, David?
We could be, although I really like what Eric's been doing.
Okay.
So the position has changed slightly. It's still roughly a symmetrical pawn structure, but one big change now on the king side. So on the right half of the board, where the kings sit, there has been a trade, a knight for a bishop, and that means an imbalance. White also has a set of doubled pawns, which could be a strength, could be a weakness, but I prefer white purely because I'm biased towards the bishop pair. And white's bishop, especially the light squared bishop, which has no rival right now, it's got a lot of potential. I think Shak now, Mamedyarov has to be really careful. He has to be really energetic with his play just to balance out the effect of white's bishops. Okay, he just pushes a pawn there to cover some light squares around his king, but Eric now, he can bring a rook into the game, his rook asleep in the corner. Maybe you could make an argument for using white's dark squared bishop, attacking the black queen. Oof, lots of options for Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing actually earlier on we were saying it's very equal, but one of the issues that black's had from, I don't know, move 6 or 7 is this pawn on c5. Maybe you can just highlight that. And often having a pawn here is a weakness because this pawn here, you can't move pawns backwards, so you leave a lot of holes and you leave the central square next to that open. I totally agree with David. Eric's got very good chances here. He couldn't really have asked for anything better. It's a safe way to play. That bishop that David has highlighted now can't be blocked by that pawn, and it's a fantastic bishop, and black doesn't have a bishop to try and act against it. So a perfect position, right, for Eric Jovanka, because he's got the bishops, he shouldn't lose this, and he can just play normal moves and try to nurture that advantage here.
I agree. I love the plans that you're suggesting, and like you say, you know, he has plenty of plans at his disposal. You know, probe the right side for some dark square weaknesses, or how has he done now? He's actually played
very interesting,
very nice move. And we saw how dreadful the pawn structure was. A double pawn structure was in the Anish Giri against Magnus Carlsen game 2. And here, Eric is threatening to do more of the same.
Win a piece as well.
Yeah, it's not just that. The white queen indirectly attacks this black knight, which is a bit loose. It's only defended by black's queen. And yeah, as mentioned, if black just makes a kind of careless move, bishop takes knight not only ruins the black pawn structure, but after it's captured, this knight falls off as well. So white's queen is kind of using her X-ray vision on both sides of the board. This queen now super strong, eyeing up this knight and this knight. And I think black needs to move this guy. It's just too vulnerable on this square. It's on a great attacking square, but nothing to attack. And it's fighting a lone battle on its own in white's half. I think it needs to step back and retreat otherwise. Ooh, even here, actually. Does this lose a pawn? OK, I was going to say this move, but maybe white can capture here and some complications ahead. So, OK, instead, Shak insists on keeping his knight in white's half. But this does allow Eric, if he wants, to maybe just capture this knight and ruin the black pawn structure. Looking very good for Eric suddenly.
Wow.
Definitely. I mean, he can capture the other knight first. He wants to keep it very simple, I think. And,
true.
And just start grabbing some pawns.
Yeah, for example, here, I mean, I'm not sure which way black takes. Does he take with the bishop, maybe? And then after this move, black can't even take with the queen because black has to keep guarding his bishop. And suddenly, pawn takes. Ooh, look at these guys over here. They're just going to drop one by one. You can even take one of them right now.
It seems like white's knight is incredibly strong at stopping any threats. OK, he's done the other way in the game. The only reason I want to play that exchange from white, I know I'm giving up my bishop, is the black knight looks a bit scary to me. It has some tactical ideas, so why not just get rid of your opponent's most scariest piece? Very simply, get rid of that piece that's scary. I'm safe, and I've got targets to pick up. So this is going to be one of Eric's best chances to get a brilliant win against a brilliant player, I feel.
He's played an amazing game so far, Eric, but only 2.5 minutes, so he needs to keep the pace. And I agree with you, Simon. Just get this knight off the board. Don't take any risks of it, for example, jumping in to deliver a nasty check. Just get rid of your opponent's best attacking piece, and he does it.
Yeah.
Very logical. And once Shaq retakes with the queen or with the bishop, Eric can start maybe feasting on some of those weak pawns.
He's going to take with the queen, and yep, on the board.
Even this endgame, even trading the queens off looks fantastic for white.
Very nice, safe way to play. If you take the queens off, get your knight to c4 at some point and win. But can you grab a pawn first? I mean,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah, Ivanka.
I gave a big smile.
Come on, you've got to sing it though, Ivanka. I've got to get you to sing once. You've got a much better voice than me.
Okay.
Okay, go for it.
No. I was just saying, okay, look at the move.
Oh.
It's on the board. He's grabbed the pawn.
So sing it. Come on.
No.
Oh, so hard to get any singing done here. So,
Are we on a singing show or chess show?
you sound like a lot of people in the chat sometimes. Now. I don't know.
I was trying to do Catherine Tate. You know, she's like, oh, are we doing this? Anyway, okay.
So there has been a bit of a transformation of the position. Eric did go and grab some of those pawns, so Ivanka was right. No more endgames. It's time to get greedy. And one downside to this is that the queens remain on the board, so your king now as white doesn't feel entirely safe. And the other downside is that black does have a pawn majority now on the king side, so you have to be a bit careful. Eric, he wants to trade off rooks, that's why he brought his queen back. He maybe wants to bring his rook to the top of the board, give a check, trade some rooks off, and queen and knight against queen and bishop should be a winning endgame.
Also, centralising the queen looks
as well.
very, because I guess Mamedyarov's idea is to push the g-pawn. What else can you do? You want to try to get rid of that very strong knight. So then maybe Eric just brings his queen back. You can see on his face, look at Eric's face, he's really determined. He realises this is a chance to win $7,500, which is incredible, an incredible amount. So I think he's in the zone now.
Beating one of the world's best players, a several-time candidate, Mamedyarov. Yeah, I mean, this would be a huge win for Eric, and he's very close.
Yeah.
He doesn't want those tie breaks.
He looks so focused. You know, it's almost like chess is like some kind of meditation for him right now. He's just concentrating on the next move. And not that much that Shakhriyar can do. And so he steps his king forward. Do you think Eric will go for his plan, trade queens? Or...
Looks like he's about to play it, Ivanka. You can see his screen right now.
Okay.
He's clicked the queen, and he brought her back to offer that trade. Very safe position.
And then start pushing your pass pawns, I guess. I mean, there's that you know, that word. You've got pass pawn, you need to push them, get another queen. So
now's the time, right?
Yeah, why not? There's no threats. You could even go G3, King G2 if you want to be totally.
He's do it.
You know,
look at his screen. He's about.
Is he going to do it? I think he's in the zone. He's finding brilliant moves here, isn't he? Such a safe way to blunt the bishop, get your king safe, and he has played it. I mean, that's just a really nice way to play, actually.
So smooth. And I remember the first time I heard Eric Hansen's name was years and years ago. I was playing a lot online at the time, and I just played against this guy who just kept outplaying me. Sometimes I would trick him when he had no time, but every game he would outplay me strategically, and that nearly never happens. And then I was like, who's this guy? Canadian flag next to him. I found out a year or two later it was Eric Hansen. And ever since, I mean, he was 2 years younger than me. Just ever since then, I've just realised he's just great understanding of chess.
Yeah,
so talented.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing everything perfectly here at the moment. So, you know, very good game so far. Very good game.
And we should mention that this is a really nice strategy, putting the white king on a light square away from the black bishop, and also making sure there are no back rank checkmates later on. And this is desperate from Mamedyarov.
It is.
Putting a pawn on a dark square, but now there are light square weaknesses around the black king.
Here it comes. You've
Alice
got to push him. Harry.
Alice. But
one move threat here from Mamedyarov attacking the white queen, but the white queen can move. The white rook at the bottom of the board is actually defended by the knight, so this isn't a skewer, or it's nothing too scary here for Eric. He just needs to find a safe square for the white queen.
Yeah.
His position is Eric's position is just safe as houses.
It's so
Nothing
safe.
can go wrong.
Like, something can always go wrong.
Maybe there's one trap in the position. If you move your queen to the wrong square, then the black pawn can come down and attack the white knight. So you need to keep an eye on that black G pawn pushing forward. That's why Eric kept his queen on the 4th rank, controlling every important square.
Yeah.
Queen on the light square. Nice outpost there.
Yeah.
Eric with 2 minutes should be enough.
So Eric he's turning 30 this year, right?
Yeah, in a couple of months, I think.
Yeah. But we're just now starting to see him in these big competitions with the best chess players in the world. Are we seeing the start of Eric Hansen, even if he is reaching 30 years old?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been a very strong player, kind of a very strong grandmaster, but I've experienced it myself. When you're in the kind of 2,600 rating range, you don't get the invitations to these top tournaments. So Eric, he got an invitation here, struck gold and performed really well.
Yeah.
He's been a fan favorite his whole career. So especially now that chess is becoming more of an e-sport, which suits him. Now it's becoming more of a kind of spectator sport. I think that suits him.
Sort of chess coming to him.
Exactly.
The format that suits him, the very best, is now invented.
I mean, I think one very important thing, I think he needs to be invited to more events just for the fact that he's entertaining and he's an entertaining player. I've seen so many top tournaments where they invite the same players over and over again, and let's be honest, they're really boring to watch. They might be much stronger player than Eric, but I don't want to watch them because it's draw. Oh my God, you know, I want to see Eric fighting, and this is the new generation as well of players who are making chess popular. So so let's hope he continues with that.
I wholeheartedly agree with Simon. You know, it makes a big difference when you invite the right players. You know, we saw then the Air Things Masters as well. You know, there was like a bunch of young talents, and Eric, of course, did really, really well. And it was exciting. They fought to the end. You know, there were no 13 moves draws. You know, in fact, I think it was only Magnus and Ding who were guilty of that.
And that was a sensible moment to the end.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just one time. And now you see another fight to the end.
Yeah, and I did see him shake his head though.
He's getting nervous.
He's
Getting nervous. He realises that he's probably winning, and he realises he's very close, and that's the worst time. It's like that thing they say when everyone has accidents in their car. It's like when you get into your road and you're near your home. You could do a 200-mile journey. It's the last 1 mile where everyone has an accident because they relax.
Really?
And I think you know, he's just got to keep that concentration up here.
Yeah, and OK, very solid move there, protecting his pawns. He's still 1 pawn up, Eric, but it's more about the queen and knight combo, the domination of the light squares, everything in his favour. And OK, is he about to push a pawn forward? This black bishop now attacking one of white's pawns. If you block up the pawn structure, though, on that left side, it does make it slightly more difficult to make progress. So Eric reluctant to play this next move, keeping his pawn safe. It's the nerves. You can see it on his body language, shaking his head. He was so focused. Now, suddenly, a bit of hesitation.
Yeah. He's under a minute. He's under a minute. I mean, I know things can't go wrong, it was said, but like I say, they can always go wrong when you get nervous. Anything can go wrong. You know, it really...
Yeah.
Ooh, he was about to play a very kind of passive move there, bringing his rook to defend the white pawns. Yeah, it's definitely nerves. 30 seconds now.
Yeah, this is still...
And also, Shakhriyar has a reputation as being one of the most dangerous players there is. You know, he's so tactically alert. And, he's moved his rook. Thankfully, not to a passive square. Instead, he's going on the counter-attack.
Always go active if you have the option. You never want to put your pieces in purely defensive roles. That white rook worth 5 in the middle of the board now. Look how active it is, attacking pawns on open files. He was about to put it on a really bad square where it really wouldn't have been worth 5. So, OK, great decision from Eric. He invested a lot of time in that move, and 35 seconds. Shak, at some point, will try to set a trap. So it's just about whether Eric can dodge his nerves, minimise the effect of them, and also dodge any traps. I think white's knight as well needs to reroute itself at some point.
I agree. Maybe H2, I was thinking, is a good way. You can maybe change targets towards the black king, because the black king is a little bit weak, and it's when you're in a stressful situation, it's actually quite easy to attack rather than sort of defend your opponent's little threats. Just get attacking. But you know, as long as he keeps his cool, he will win this game.
Yeah, and especially while the black queen and black rook are kind of sidelined, distracted over there dealing with white's pawns, switching your attention to the black king, I mean, that would be the most logical thing in the world. So is now the moment to reroute the white knight. do you have to take a timeout to
Under 20
the pawn
seconds,
first?
David.
Or-
Yeah, he has
Under
to
20
move.
seconds, come on. You know,
I also think it's tempting to manoeuvre the white knight, but at the same time, you might be thinking it's a little bit
He's looking
Shaking
passive.
his
Shaking
head,
his
10
head.
seconds.
Okay, he's pushed his pawn forward. That does mean that those pawns on the left, they're not going to be that easy to advance.
They're fixed now, and that's why he's shaking his head. But he still has so many other advantages. It's not just about the number of pawns, it's about the domination of the light squares. So if he can reroute his knight, if he can pick up the white knight and plonk it on the f5 square, knight and f5 will thrive, that's just going to be game over. He should be loving this position, but it's just the nerves.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible, yeah. Well, it's actually really exciting as well at the same time. He is used to playing under 20 seconds, but I don't think he's used to being in these positions where it's the only game. We're all watching him.
Yeah, it must be lonely out there in the arena.
Yeah.
It's just the two of them with all the bright lights, all the cameras.
10 seconds,
All the pressure.
okay.
10 seconds, whoa,
Well,
come on.
And Shak responding really quickly, activating his rook.
Here we go.
And here we go.
Yes, the knight remaneuvers.
And he plays it, and it's a mistake. Is that right?
Is it a
No, I don't
mistake?
think
Is it
it's a
not?
mistake.
Okay, oh, okay.
I don't see anything wrong with
No.
it.
Maybe there was something even better, but
Yeah. No, this looks
good.
like completely the right plan. The knight going for the square David mentioned, which should be a fantastic square.
Yeah.
If he gets it there, that should be the game over, I feel.
Right.
look out for that f5 square. If the knight ever arrives there, I think it's going to be game over.
Is it time for Mamedyarov just simply to improve the dark square bishop?
No.
Put it on the d4 square.
I think he's got to try to... The good thing about Eric's position as well is that his rook and queen are dominating the centre of the board. And when you dominate the centre, you stop your opponent's pieces coming in. So he's just got to keep them there, dominating all the way. And
If you're fighting against one bishop, then occupy the opposite colour complex. Okay, Shakhriyar, I don't think that's a good move, but it's a scary move for Eric to face because suddenly the rook is in his camp. It's penetrated to the first rank, and okay, he's about to kick it away with his knight, but
oh, he's gone back.
needed to.
Oh no, is that?
Oh, but hang on a second. Now the black rook doesn't have to stay on the E line. It can actually manoeuvre itself to a different square. I'm thinking primarily the C1 square, and it's on the board. So
Suddenly
now's
some
a
tricks
big
in the air.
now there's a big threat. The rook is going to lift itself 2 squares backwards and attack the queen and the pawn. And if that B3 pawn drops,
Well, anything can happen.
anything can happen. Okay.
But this is Eric to strike first, and the rook on the 7th rank is where you want the rook. And there's a major target right next to black's king. So this is where Eric might be able to transfer one advantage into an attack, where I think he'd be happy. But he's got 22 seconds. By the way, hello to Harry the pet there as well.
I
did
saw that,
notice that. So, hi, Harry. But yeah, is Eric going to do it, guys?
He's still the big favourite here, despite having 22 seconds on the clock. It's just the momentum. It's changed slightly, maybe.
Can you just go queen d5 to
Next move. Trade the queens off.
If you get a bit worried, you can play safe. Go queen d5, get the queens off. You're a pawn up at the ending, and you can calm down a little bit there, I would have thought.
That being said, if the queens disappear, black does have a bishop, which is maybe superior to a knight when pawns on both sides of the board in an endgame. And yeah, white's knight currently, at least for now, dominated by that black bishop. It can't jump forward anywhere. So that's the big decision. And I think, oh, wow, Shak under 1 minute as well, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're both calculating. Shak wants to move his queen, of course. He has to. It's attacked. But he's calculating any potential queen trade.
He's gone for it. He has to go for it, I think. And, well, Eric did not change the queens.
I prefer this.
Yeah, this is a much more ultimate kind of solution, but it's much more complicated. And, yeah, 30 seconds each.
Definitely, the stakes are getting higher, and I really like this move that Shakhriyar has just played. You know, retreating the queen, that's true, but there are some potential ideas of the queen diving in along the E2 square.
I mean, Eric's got to surely come in with his queen now, hasn't
He
he?
has to do that. 12 seconds, 11
The black
seconds.
bishop.
Yeah, start creating threats, bring the queen in. But
7 seconds. Oh,
oh, what's he done? He's gone passive.
retreating.
Oh,
Onto a dark square as well. The white queen loves those light squares.
it might be a good move, but it is a little bit negative. You know, if black does get the queen ever into the position as well, then Eric's going to come under some attack.
I'm a little bit afraid of moves like the rook sliding to the B1 square, attacking a pawn, and then, you know, a move that David highlighted, just attacking
it.
the knight away.
He's gone for it. He's gone for it, trying to get the rook onto the 7th rank.
Eric has to be really careful now. Some big threats coming up against.
7 seconds. He's taken this. What's he done?
Wow, is that genius? He's Oh, is
What's
that
he
madness?
played?
He's given up his rook for a bishop. If the black king comes out into the open and takes it, Eric has got some checks lined up.
Wow, he's got a very clever check on c3,
Wow.
I think.
Maybe
Yeah.
this is just...
But maybe,
This could be a brilliant move.
Yeah,
but he
brilliant.
can run.
How did he see? I mean, now Shaq is down to 5 seconds as
seconds.
If
well.
Shaq has to move, he has to
He
take
has
that
to take
rook.
the rook.
He hasn't taken
No,
it.
he
Well,
hasn't taken it.
that
Okay,
is-
but then it's just a piece
it's
down.
just-
That's suicide. He's just given up the game. He's a knight down.
And Eric, 9 seconds, about to make a huge...
He's going to win this game.
Yeah, he's going to win.
Yeah.
Now, the black pawn attacking the white knight, but the white knight can just park itself on the side of the board.
Or go forwards.
or
come
go
straight
forwards.
in.
Yeah, that's
Go
even
for the
stronger,
kill.
Simon.
Keep attacking.
Move forward, park yourself next to that
Got
white
to find
rook.
it. 14,
Yeah,
but
he goes to the edge.
okay.
That's fine.
It's all right.
Be
Still
okay.
okay.
Black's queen can now deliver a check at least.
Okay.
I mean, black's
King.
going to get checkmate threat, though, with the rook coming in,
Yeah,
which
but
is all scary.
A knight is a king's best friend. That beautiful knight can... Oh, no, not yet.
Oh.
Okay.
He's,
Okay.
Shaq is threatening checkmate.
Okay.
Oh!
So
10 seconds on the board.
The black rook and black queen want to get into the corner of the board, so you have to block the queen's diagonal. Still winning for
It's a bit
Eric.
scary, though. The white king is now exposed. He's winning, but it's a little bit scary.
At least now he has a knight check coming in. White's
Yeah.
knight was threatening to come and check the black king, so Mamedyarov had to lose a move, retreating his king.
He's going for the
It's
final
going.
kill.
He's got
That's
it.
Has he got it? He's got it. Well done, Eric.
And it's a celebration from Eric Hansen, the chess streamer.